Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in. This is Rich Haggerty and I'm a developer advocate at IBM, focusing on Watson services and IBM Cloud. Today I'd like to show you how to create a customer care chatbot built on Watson Assistant, but with an added hook. We are going to add in the capability to access the Watson Discovery service. That means that directly from our chatbot we can query Discovery's search engine to find answers to questions that a typical chatbot can't handle. For our use case, we will build a chatbot for owners of the ecobee thermostat, and it could do all the typical responses like providing store hours, directions, transferring to a human. But if we detect that the customer is asking a question about how to actually operate the thermostat, we will send that question over to Watson Discovery, which has been preloaded with the ecobee owner's manual. Additionally, we will use the new Watson Discovery feature called Smart Document Understanding, which should really help Discovery find the most relevant answers to the question. At the bottom of this page is a link to the GitHub source repo, which is all the step-by-step instructions and code assets. So with that, let's get started. Let's start by taking a look at the finished chatbot running here on local port 3000. It's a customer care chatbot for, in our use case here, ecobee thermostat owners. As you can see, this is your typical customer care chatbot that can handle basic questions. But what if I ask a question about operating the actual thermostat? As you can see, we actually get a pretty good answer. So how does this happen? Do we have to build into our dialogue every conceivable question and answer? Of course the answer is no. What we are actually doing is using a couple of new features available in the Watson Assistant and Watson Discovery services. On the Assistant side, which is what we use to build this chatbot dialogue, we can now use webhooks to call out other services like Discovery. And on the Discovery side, we can use Smart Document Understanding to better model our data so we can get better answers to our queries. And our data in this case is the actual owner's manual for the thermostat. So let's go through the steps to set that up. After we create our Watson Discovery service, let's create a new collection, which we'll call Owner's Manual. Now we can upload the manual, which is supplied for you in the data directory of your cloned GitHub repo. And before we go any further, let's try some of the test queries to see how they look. As you can see, not very good. In fact, they have nothing to do with running the heater. So let's see if we can use Smart Document Understanding to help Discovery out. We get there by clicking on the Configure Data button, then the Identity Fields tab. The SDU page layout is pretty straightforward. All of the pages are shown in a scrollable list on the left. The current page being worked on is in the middle, and the available field labels are all on the right. For each page, you select the field type, then apply it to the graphics side of the current page you're working on. All I'm going to do here for our owner's manual is to call out titles, subtitles, and texts of the data I care about. And I will identify labels or table of contents and footers, which are things I don't want Discovery to include in searches. As you can see, I'm labeling each of the subtitles that are marked in the manual with green text. And as you complete a page, hit the Submit Page button. And as you go to page, Discovery should be learning. So eventually you will get to a page where you won't have to do anything. Just verify that it is correct by hitting the Submit button. At the end of the document are pages of warranty and license information. I'm going to label this all as a footer, so it'll be ignored. Once we are happy with the annotations, we hit Apply Changes to Collection and then reload the data so the new model can be applied. Now we go back to the Configure Data page and select the Manage Fields tab. Here we tell Discovery what fields to index, and in our case it will just be the text and title fields. We then split the document based on subtitle, apply changes again, and reload the data again to apply the new model. Now you can see that our collection looks a lot different. It will now have a separate document for each subtitled section, which should improve our search queries. Let's test that out by trying our queries again. And as you can see, the results are a lot better. In coming steps, we will need to gather the collection environment IDs, which you can find here. We will also need the Discovery Service API key and URL, which you can find here. Our next step is to create a serverless function that could be invoked to call our Discovery collection. We will do that using IBM Cloud Functions. So from the IBM Cloud desktop, the resource list, use create resource to find the function service. I've already set this up, so I'll just show you what gets created. Click on the Actions tab, where you'll find my Disco action. When you create yours, you can just simply use the Create button. Note that it uses the Node.js 10 runtime. If I open that up, you can see the code page. Now you can find the code to insert here in the Actions directory of your GitHub repo. The code basically queries Discovery and returns the results. You will also need to set up some parameters to communicate with Discovery. These should look familiar to you, and we showed you where you can get those values in the previous section. Once they're all set, we can go back to the code page and test it. Here we see that it worked. On the Endpoints tab, we need to make sure that the Enable as a Web Action option is selected, which will generate a URL that ends in .json. This URL will be needed by Watson Assistant so that it can invoke this web action. And the last piece of the puzzle is Watson Assistant. Just like with Cloud Functions, I've already set it up, so let's go over what I did. If I click on my Assistant service, you will see the dialog skill named Customer Care Sample Skill. It comes automatically with the service, so we'll just be modifying it. The first thing we need to do is create an intent, which is how we detect if the customer wants information on operating the thermostat. We'll name the intent product information, and we will provide some sample examples of what will trigger the intent, such as how do I turn on the heater. Next, we go to Options to turn on the webhook feature for this dialog. All we need to do is supply the URL that we generated in our previous step, where we defined our web action. Now we need to modify our dialog to handle our new intent. Here I created a new node named Ask About Product, which you can see here is tied to the product information intent. To add our webhook, we click the Customize button and turn on webhooks for this node. We also need to pass in the customer's query to the webhook, and we do that here using this syntax. The response from the Discovery service via the webhook will be captured in the variable webhook result1. Now let's test it out. And as you can see, it works, which means we have Watson Assistant invoking a Cloud Function action which queries a Watson Discovery collection and returns a result. The last thing we need to do is grab the assistant credentials so that we can access it from our app. You can find a Discovery Workspace ID and IP key here in View API Details. With that, I think I'll wrap this up for now. Please check out the GitHub repo at IBM/Watson Discovery SDU with Assistant. All you need to get started is an IBM Cloud trial account, which is easy to set up. All the instructions are in the GitHub repo, and it should take you less than an hour to create all these services and build your own customer care chatbot app. Thanks again for watching.